My final presentation for Geography 203, Section 502 is on the topic of animal domestication, or more specifically, how animals change from being wild to being tamed. I was interested in this topic because of my own dog named Ruby. Ruby is a tiny 10-year-old poodle that weighs about 10 pounds when she's soaking wet. She's not very intimidating at all, and to be quite honest, she would probably not survive a week in the wild without being eaten by a much larger and more vicious predator. Thinking about how dogs have been domesticated from wolves has really made me interested in how animals can change into whole new species because of human intervention. This topic should interest y'all because a lot of the luxuries that we enjoy in our modern life, like eggs, milk, bacon, and leather, come from domesticated animals. We, as humans, would not be as advanced as we are if we did not domesticate plants and animals. Now, for us to move on, we must go over a few key terms. Domestication, to convert plants and animals to live in close association with human beings as a pet or work animal, and usually creating a dependency so that the animal loses its ability to live in the wild. Artificial selection, the breeding of plants and animals to produce desirable traits. And lastly, natural selection, the process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. Now, first, to answer the question of how animals were domesticated, we must answer why they were domesticated. About 33,000 years ago, hunters and wolves hunted the same prey. Eventually, humans would hunt with the wolves that were more comfortable with people and began to spend more time with them. In 1970, scientists found a dog school in present-day Russia in close proximity to a pile of burnt twigs. The scientists inferred that this dog was a close companion to the human that built the fire and was most likely an aid in hunting. Humans also domesticated cows, sheep, and goat for food and milk, donkeys and camels for load transportation. In essence, humans domesticate plants and animals to make their lives easier and safer. The domestication of animals happens over thousands of years where the traits that humans see desirable are passed down to the next generation. The first generation for domestications were most likely the animals that were curious about humans and were not as afraid as the others in their packs. For example, a curious wolf would eat scraps from human camps and eventually breed with others that did the same. These traits of familiarity with humans would be passed down from generation to generation, and eventually you would get a dog. It is important to note that domestication is not a learned behavior, it is entirely genetic. Scientists are able to look at the genes of the wild animals and domesticated versions of those animals to see what genetic differences there are. To sum everything up, animals were domesticated through artificial selection by humans to choose the traits that were deemed most important. While it is true that it takes thousands of years to domesticate some animals, some scientists have successfully domesticated a certain species of fox in only 50 years. The first generation of foxes showed very wild behaviors, but after the best attributes were chosen through the generations, the foxes showed behaviors that dogs would show to their owners in current day.